So we decided to hold this session because we had a lot of feedback from the Greenlight conference around the importance of savings. We had a very specific session where Chepa Malloy, Stefan's business partner, spoke quite a bit about the benefits of savings. And one of the things that really got to us was how much of a psychological benefit there is to saving and doing something like saving where you've never done it before, if there's no culture of saving in your families, and if you're afraid to do it then as a group so you can support each other, lower the risk, etc., etc. So we're having this series as well because we've seen also through COVID that the financial, emotional, psychological resilience that can arise from having a little money behind you, a little money saved, can do wonders for you. It got a lot of families through the COVID period. And so we're very pleased when Stokfella engaged with us, and we've asked them to be an ecosystem partner to the Greenlight movement. And if you will remember, our ecosystem partners are really good at providing support around your needs as the Greenlight movement. So during the time of COVID, and there was a lot of trauma and stress and passion and fatigue and burnout, we brought in Empower and Camber Coaching, and we're still going to be doing projects with them to support around those issues. We've brought in Measure to help with theories of change and evaluation design. And so we keep including ecosystem partners where they have services or products that we think are authentic, have value, and can really bring support to the Greenlight movement. And so I'd love to introduce today, if you weren't at the Greenlight conference, then I'd like to introduce you to Stefan Russ and Chepa Malloy from Stokfella. Gentlemen, take it away.
Guys, thank you for having us. It's such a pleasure being with you guys. And after the conference, we had a lot of discussions in the office about how we probably need to, hug a bit more and blow a bit more bubbles and things like that. So we really appreciate the hen environment, Laura, that you've created. It's a very lovable environment and kind and accepting environment. So, but yes, we believe that we could be a good translator between this environment and people and organizations like yourself that are doing incredible work out there, fixing the brokenness in the country, of which we know there's a lot. To the hard and cold, capitalists out there and the capital flow out there. Anyway, so I don't want to steal any of Tsepo's thunder, but great to be here. Thanks for the opportunity, guys.
All right, no, thank you, Stefan. Can everyone hear me clearly? Oh, super, great stuff. Okay, great stuff. I'd like to take the opportunity to thank Laura and the team, Greenlight Movement. It's always great to engage and always see the good work that you guys do. So today's session, I think, on today's webinar, it's purely, about bringing the concept of how stock cells have an impact on the ecosystem, and more so how it can work for the Greenlight Movement at a high level. And then we can take questions after. So that's just a high level approach. I'm going to share a screen of mine. Can I get it says it's disabled. Can the host please enable for me to share the screen?
Done.
Done. Okay. Thank you very much, Laura. Just give me a second. When you're a tech company, sometimes technology is also challenging. People think when you're a tech company, technology should not be challenging. So we have our moments as well. So please let me know if you can see my screen.
We can see your screen. Thank you.
Super, super. No problem. Thank you very much. All right. So one of our recent mottos and what we're doing at Stokfella is this word called Sikula Sonke. Arguably, depending on how loosely you want to translate it, means let's grow together or we grow together, because we believe that collective capital is the way to go, and hence why we exist, purely to grow together with communities such as yours. But to go with communities such as yours, I think it's important we understand where everyone's mind is, and this including Greenlight participants, South Africa as a whole. Where are we when it comes to growing together? Are we speaking the same language? Are we challenged? Are we challenged differently? Because you can only tackle a problem when you understand it. I think it's Einstein that says, he would rather spend 80% of his time understanding the problem than 20% solving the solution, because the last thing you want to do is solve a problem you don't understand. So where are we as South Africa, particularly around saving culture, particularly around how people are feeling in this country going forward? And this is perhaps the major thing that also Greenlight tracks around the feeling and where we are. So if when we look at it as a whole, I touched on the power of the collective and how it can transform the African continent. But if we look at where we are, it's also good to references from where we were last year. And this is the recent Old Mutual Saving Monitor that was released literally a week ago. One of the things it does, it tracks saving culture, and it's a savings index, and how people are feeling towards their money, basically. And this is a word cloud if you've never seen one. But a word cloud basically takes all the comments and picks out the most common and relevant ones to those being asked questions. You can see that stress was there in 2022, and saving was top of mind. But you can already see that stress becomes the main leading factor around where we are today. So a lot of South Africans, and debt is bigger now. If you look at that word cloud for 2023, you see people are looking for stability, and saving is still there. But arguably, if you just take a look at South Africa, and again, this is a sample data, and it's sampled, and we know a bit about statistics, but from the sample data that Old Mutual has done, South Africans are feeling stressed. They're feeling high in debt. They would like stability, and they want to save more. And I presume, it's the same feeling that the Greenlight constituents and everyone else is feeling. And if you're not, please tell me the secret, because I wouldn't want to be stressed. So please lift your hand so that we can ask you questions later on. Don't be shy. But I personally, I know the challenges of being stressed, living in Joburg, having a little one to put through school. In fact, my son is turning 2, and I'm like, okay, he needs to go to school, join his sister. So I know the challenges that comes with it. We like ducks, as business people. We come at the top and paddle like crazy at the bottom. So we understand the same things that everyone is feeling. And if we just dive deeper a bit into it, just unpacking it historically up to now, you can already see more than anything else, right, that the overwhelming stress that people, high stress, low stress, and no stress, a lot of people, if you look at it, they're actually, sitting in the majority of high stress and low stress, right? So there's some significant factors around stress that's happening there. And overwhelming stress is 11%. Those ones are the ones that you really, really want to worry about. And no stress, hey, I would really like to be part of the 10%. But I think a lot of South Africans are stressed. And you can see it has been steady, and in fact it increased during COVID. As you can see, 2020 was the bigger lockdown. As everyone know, March 2020 we locked down, and the stress just kicked up. It has reduced back to, if inverted commas, we call normality, but it's not normal. 30% and 45%, it is not normal. If you look at first world countries, this is way lower, right? So we still are stressed. It's just because we've gone back to COVID, prior COVID, stress levels doesn't make it right. So that's one of those things we need to be aware of. And if we move then, Stokfella, what we've seen is that Stokfella, or should I say collective capital, is where people find their saving grace during the stressful time that they are in, right? A lot of people, a lot of South Africans belong to stokvels. In fact, about 11 million, if not more, South African belongs to stokvels. It's a 50 billion rand industry with about 450,000 stokvel people out there. In fact, it's the second biggest industry after the taxi, second biggest informal industry after the taxi industry, telling you that how important part it plays within our economy. And this stems across all board, whether you're in LSM1 to LSM10. Yes, this majority of the people that are in stokvels are between LSM3 and LSM7. But I mean, I know multiple executives that are sitting in LSM9 that are part of stokvels. It is just the way that South Africa is built. It's just the way that the African continent is built. It's just the way that the world is built. I touched on how stokvels are almost like cooperatives in the Greenlight movement conference at the time. But arguably, you know, how we are built, how we are structured as people, we are built to be together, you know, and I think no other example besides COVID showed us that we actually need each other as people. And in fact, where poverty, inequality, and high unemployment, which South Africa is number one, by the way, is prevalent, stokvels actually, you know, or should I say community capital and collective capital actually is where it thrives the most. In fact, it's where the people band together because they know that nothing is working within the economy, or at least it feels like that for them. So it is a very vibrant economy. It's very relevant. It's very important, but it does not have its own challenges. All right. It does not have its own challenges because it's people. Where there's people, there will be differences, but more so because it's such an informal industry, and it's very lightly regulated. I won't say not regulated, very lightly regulated. You know, there is some regulation here and there about stokvels, but that's not the reason why I'm here in this call. But because it's such an informal industry, it is prone to a lot of challenges. And I list some of these challenges here, you know, such as security, inconvenience, lack of access to economic capital that changes people's lives, and also socioeconomic position. If we were to touch on that a bit later, which I'm sure that everyone on the call said there's a good idea around that output, you know, it doesn't have a powerful impact because it's not connected to the major economy, right? But the ultimate one, that it is prone to scams. It is prone to people taking advantage. It is prone to people being held at gunpoint because it's such an informal industry. Yes, there's some improvements that have been done, but this is still carrying on till today. In fact, if you just Google a week ago, you'll find that one of so-called digital stokvel called the United African Stokvel actually was pwned as a Ponzi scheme by the Financial Sector Board, Financial Sector Accreditation Board, the FSCA. So it just tells you that even though there is little, FSCA, it is trying to regulate the system, but not as good, as quick, and as speedily as it would like to. That's what we believe. However, there are still all these scams. That does not make the stokvel concept incorrect. It does not make collective capital wrong. You know, I mean, I released a piece of paper today. It's out in the media, which we can share post the conversation. How I see things differently around how to reshape the thinking of stokvels, and we can touch about it later on, right? But the main purpose and the biggest impact and benefit it brings is clearly shown. Again, Old Mutual tracks such data. It tracks it for 2023. We also track this data, but we also like to see how our data is in comparison to other people's data, and it's not that far off. But ultimately, people see the benefits of stokvels in the following way. You know, so end of the year expenses. I know if I save throughout the year, I will be able to pay for my school fees, for my child's school fees. One of the things that I'm doing, saving through stokvel to pay for my child's school fees. I know that as a family, we'll be able to eat our groceries. As you can see, those numbers between 2021 and 2023 have stayed the most relevant things. Travel and holiday, and I touched on school fees as well. They separated in here, but ultimately anything that is end of the year, it's usually based on an output for the following year. For the following year, usually January, which is they call January. Don't worry about it, or December, right? So that's what most Stokfellas likely do. We do see a trend, and you can see that at the bottom there's a new trend coming in about buying livestock and property. But majority of Stokfellas ultimately is about to say, how do we make sure that together we are well off? That is a very important note to think about, right? I say together we are well off, not individually I am well off. Even though I might go in as an individual, but ultimately together I'm well off, because there's a clear psychology around togetherness, around being accountable to others, around benefiting by people reminding you to save. There's a clear psychology around, hey, if you miss your payment, what will people say around you? So and this togetherness is very important, particularly at a lower income level, because it is extremely difficult to be disciplined and save when you know that 70% of your income is going towards transport. Those are almost the statistics of South Africa, that most people that actually work far away from home in jobs that usually pay less than 8,000 Rand per month spend most of their money on food and transport, right? So saving is really not even top of their mind, right? But when they do save little as they may have, whether it's 5 Rand, whether it's 50 Rand, whether it's 100 Rand, when they're accountable to others, that saving sticks, that saving sticks. And it sticks for a very long time. And that is the key around, is that you can start saving as an individual, but as soon as you start saving, particularly at those levels from a psychological perspective, you want people to be accountable to. Not to say it's not the same at the top level. Those are in executive position, but I mean, those can easily say, no, I'll skip this month, I'll skip 2 months, then I'll cover it the next 2 months. When you're earning very little, it's difficult to recover within 2 or 3 months. So that's why that peer, I don't want to call it peer pressure, because peer pressure sounds wrong. That pure enthusiasm, or that pure hoo-ha for you works very well, very well. So that's why the most African proverb is relevant. It says, together we go, if you want to go fast, go alone, but if you want to go far, go together. And that's the most important thing, particularly there where people are sitting little. They can really go far together, and they can really go very far, even at the top. But we can talk about all of these things, and I can talk about how we see it from a psychological perspective. But I think it's important also to show you what we've seen, and it might seem, it's a video which I'm going to ask my colleague Stefan to play for us right now. So it might seem that we look at things and say, "Whoa, those people are there already." But if once you watch the video, I will slightly delve into the history of this particular Stokfella, telling you a bit of their challenges and where they come from. It might seem that they've made it, right? But without the clear understanding where they come from, you tend to lose the paddling like crazy, like ducks on a calm water. So Stefan, I hope you're ready with the video there. Are you ready? I'm gonna unshare so you can share.
Stefan, when you choose to play your video, make sure that you are playing the video with sound.
Sure. Okay, give me a minute.
Cool.
I need to stop sharing. Ah, there we go. There's a button. Thank you. It's all yours, Stefan.
I still think it's an absolute miracle, this Zoom thing. How did we ever manage without it before?
The benefits of COVID.
Yes, it's kind of like when there's a war, suddenly all the technology just suddenly comes out. When there's a crisis, technology just does its thing. And I see Sally Fairsport's nodding her head.
Definitely. I mean, if you read a lot of war books, funny enough, you realize a lot of technology advances from there. from bridges to communication, to flying, a bit of flying as well, more effective flying. So yeah, don't get me started. I did my master's with Denel Aviation. So yeah, so don't get me started. But Stefan, please tell me that you're ready before Laura starts asking me about my master's.
I was about to. You know me in questions. There we go. Stefan, you're on mute.
Stefan, you're on mute.
Sorry, guys. It's exactly what Tsepo described. As soon as you profess to be a tech company, then something as simple as sharing a screen becomes quite a challenge. So let me just try something else on this Mac.
That's
please
fine.
give me a second.
Take your time. Not a problem.
I do apologize that we didn't practice this beforehand.
Maybe while Stefan is busy doing that, Tsepo, I see. I made a comment
I
here.
think you might be on mute.
Tsepo, I see
Yes,
that you
yes,
have
yes,
a deposit taking license category 1.
Yes.
Oh, wait, here
Yes,
we go.
Yes. Yeah, we don't hear the sound, Stefan, by the way, in case you're playing.
So when you play the video, you've got to choose to play it with the sound.
Yes, so we are FSC.
So let's try that again. It is saying
okay,
share
sorry.
sound. I'm saying share. Right. Let's just get this sound dialog open. Still no sound, guys. This is
no sound. When you share screen, there's something that the gentleman is saying.
Yes.
About saying, there we go.
Cool.
Yes.
The power
Working.
that we have of money and how
Give me
we
a thumbs up.
actually take control of how we invest our
Well,
money
shut up.
is amazing. My name is Razia Adam.
My name is Indipile Kun.
I'm an executive geologist by profession.
I'm an IT professional or IT executive by profession.
I am a proud mother of 2.
I'm a mom of 2 very gorgeous boys.
And I'm a dreamer. I'm very passionate about people and growing people. Hence, I'm a mentor as well to professionals and entrepreneurs across Africa.
Yeah, passionate about making money. I'm passionate about living a debt-free life. I'm passionate about investing. I am passionate about traveling. I'm also passionate about empowering others and just ensuring that I leave a legacy for at least that generation I gave birth to and the next one.
The dream was to go into logistics, mining, the number of sectors. But as we went along the journey, we realized that, you know what, maybe it should start by collaboratively owning a asset together.
We started in the BMCA. Razia and I are the co-directors of the company. We started it in May 2021. And the intention or purpose of the company really is to ensure that we can empower women, or we invest as a collective of women. There's some very brave men that are part of the Stokfella as well. We are using the Stokfella platform to be able to do the administration and the collection of money and the different transactions that we participate in. Our very first investment was on cows with the Beef Core network. That was about 12 months of investing. We then paid out the ROI to the participating 90 members using the Stokfella app as a mechanism to ensure their members get their money. And we continued. There's a number of investments we are in. We have property investing in the form of a villa, which we paid off in 18 months. There's about 21 of our members that are participating in that.
At
And
1.6
yeah,
million in
Yeah.
18 months.
we also did another investment with with the same villa providers for a share block. So we bought about 2 weeks of peak holiday in Mpumalanga, and we continually get that ROI. The villa is paid off. It was paid off in December 2022. The intention really is to acquire assets and not to use the banks and pay interest rates and all of that. And that really is the intention of the Stokfella.
We've now looked into embedding another model where we are looking at having at least 10 members who are looking for properties, residential properties, whether it's a property of your own home or you want to buy investment in terms of your retirement property or your beach house, you know. And we are looking at having that paid off in 10 years within the 10 members. So each year we have one member's property being purchased, being paid off and purchased cash. You don't want to retire with a bond that is still in, in your radar. And we've seen this model work in another Stokfella that we had started, and it's doing quite well.
Being able to raise over 2.2 million in exactly 2 years is actually not an easy thing to do. But I think imagine what we can do in the next 3 or 4 years if we accelerate that. There's a lot that we can do in terms of the total value of the portfolio of assets that we are trying to build.
Our generation, we are teaching the next generation that don't only see yourself as the bank as a resource for you to buy a house, to buy a car. Use the model of stockfelling, work as a collaborative. You can't do it alone.
My personal intention is to ensure that my 2 sons can pass this on to their children, at least that generation and the next generation.
I am removing that burden or black tax from my children and actually making them start off on a very good base. And we're talking about it now. I'm actually proud.
Yeah.
I'm actually proud.
We've done well.
We've done well.
I think we benefit quite a lot from the Stokfella app.
A lot.
I think it has changed how we manage things, and it has professionalized how we run the different Stokfellas that we have.
I only wish it was there long ago before our parents were robbed of the Stokfella. Because money was entrusted on one person. Then December, that person takes off with the whole amount. Stokfella app creates that convenience, safety, and visibility.
Yeah.
Thank you, Stefan. Thank you very much. I posted the link of the video on the chat just in case that it was buffering like on your side like it was on my side. So you can still watch it at your own comfortable time. But I'm sure that you guys got the gist around that particular Stokfella, these 2 ladies. I touched on a bit around to say, it looks like achievements. They still have a long way to go, as they say, but they touch on a couple of things around the challenges. I think when they say they've seen this model worked in some other instances, what they're trying to tell you is that it's not easy running a Stokfella. They were part of another Stokfella before, and because we are human, it just didn't go well. But what I love about them is that they never gave up. They still believed in the power of the collective, and then they went on to start their own Stokfella together, and then move to the next part. It might seem to have it all well together, but I can tell you personally, I know them both personally. They are single moms. That just want to see their family thrive. They touch a bit on their kids in there. I know Razia. She's from Durban, and she's really up and down with her kids, with her child, up and down in Durban. And she can tell you that if it wasn't for the community, because she doesn't live with the child at the present moment, as far as I remember, but if it wasn't for the community that she left the child home with, the grandparents, and the grandparents are also part of the Stokfella. She doesn't know how she would be able to achieve the things that she's achieving right now today. So there's a lot that goes on that we just see at the output, but Stokfellas have a way of impacting all of us positively up to the point where we see and most people see us as successful, starting from nothing to something very, very, very tangible. I'm going to continue with my presentation in order to close off. I'm going to share my screen once more. All right. And I'm confident that you can see my screen. This is ultimately what we do at Stokfella. These are the 6 key pillars that we focus on in terms of how we support and build the communities at Stokfella. I touched on a bit about digital Stokfella, and it was important that I clarify the so-called digital Stokfella that has been challenged by the FSCA, and Laura touched on it to say we are a registered FSCA or FSP provider. We have a license around long-term and short-term deposits. What that means, it means that one is we are accredited to take your deposit as a Stokfella, to hold them for you, and to put them in an interest-bearing account, and then to redistribute them towards what you desire as an impactful output, or towards back to your members. It really comes back to how we help and assist you to structure your Stokfella, determine of its goal. And because we can do that, we provide that ultimate transparency, that accountability. I mean, I can really tell you that one of the things that today as a team we were engaging on was one of the Stokfellas that is on our platform that did like 8 transactions on a go, you know, claiming their money out. You know, our system picks these things up because it was an anomaly for that Stokfella from a behavior perspective. The system looks at these things, and when it sees an anomaly, it pings the support team to say, hey, there's something happening with this Stokfella. Please have a look at it. So we try our best, and we believe we can hold Stokfella and the executives accountable to what they say they will do towards their members. And yes, I touched on our financial services around providing that savings account. But I think for us, more than anything else, right, is how do we make your money work for you as a Stokfella? How do we shift you to the next level? And we can only do that by supporting from an education perspective. So a lot of things that we do when Stokfellas come to us, we provide that fundamental financial literacy. But we are looking to work with one of the relationships or one of the ecosystems within the Greenlight movement to see how we can work together. They already do that. That's such an offering. Community building is one of our key focus areas. So one of the things that we're looking at, we're like, how do we replicate community building from a financial Stokfella perspective? How people can learn from one another, and we're looking at it not only physically but also digitally through our IT support system. You know, I mean, I don't even want to bore you around talking about AI and all that stuff, but those are the things we're investigating in. You know, how can we do this thing better and provide that experience of community building on our platform and off our platform? Ultimately, I touched on a bit of security, and that's what we aim to offer, to make sure that as an FSP, we are held accountable to what we say happens on our platform, and we can indirectly hold the Stokfellas accountable. So, I mean, what does this mean if we just bring it back to the Greenlight movement? Yes, Laura, this I took directly from your website, so it's not copy infringement. I am referencing your source right there, but I took it because I actually didn't want to build anything new. Because people think that, you know, we suddenly build something new, and all we do is actually leverage off the power of the collective, and we just accelerate and connect it. It's one of our key focus areas or key pillars in our company. And the reason why I pulled this out from the website was to show you how highlight things that we focus on around ownership, around self-reflection. That happens quite a lot when people call us and say, what is my Stokfella doing? How's it doing? Where are we? We try our best to summarize and then take it back to the executives so that they can self-check each other and self-regulate around providing independence and dignity. A lot of our Stokfellas during COVID had a claim, those members were able to survive because of those stokvels in our database. And we empower communities. And what I mean about that is, I mean, you saw the winning story from Razia and the colleague around how they'd be able for themselves to use the stokvel concept to buy cows, to buy chalets, and looking at to pay off their houses. But if I slightly bring it back, and we didn't play this video, it was one of our videos that we have a stokvel that actually builds schools in Limpopo, all right? Because as we know, there's a big challenge between quality of schools, particularly in the rural areas of our country. This stokvel, its main focus is we will build quality schools for where our children will be, and of course there's a revenue generation around that. And parents will pay per table for their child. We'll make sure each table has got pen, pencil, all the relevant things that equips the child at a very affordable rate for that child to be great. It sounds like it's a complex thing, but I can tell you the impact that they've had in multiple communities. I mean, I think they've built 2 schools now already. The impact is very high, and it also means that the funds and the money goes back towards the community, So, and that's where I want to touch on social impact, right? So the amount of social impact which we both are talking about as Stokfella and Greenlight movement is immense when we look at it from a collective. We can touch on energy, we can touch on many other factors, but there is a social impact and a social impact movement when a stokvel focuses on challenges that its community has and decides to plug in those challenges with their collective capital. With that said, I'd like to thank everyone for listening to us, and I open the floor for questions. Thank you very much.
My goodness me. Cheko, thank you very much. Just like we at the Greenlight conference, you gave us so much, yourself and Stefan, so much to think about. And I love the concept of investing back into your community, where the spin-offs and it's so much more, as I said in the chat, than just about saving, making money. This is really about resilience in an unpredictable future. Where you could go forward together. And we know that in South Africa, there are also many communities where there is no culture of saving because there hasn't been enough to save. But here, you can get together with friends, family, colleagues, a work group. I love the concept of a program in the Greenlight movement within an org where the data comes out, that indicator number 4, it's very red. And maybe 6 months to 8 months down the line, when you get to know the people on your program really well, you can turn around and say to them, so guys and girls, how about starting a stokvel together? That would be absolutely amazing. We've got some questions going so I'll tell you what, why don't you just raise your hands or switch on your mic? And let's take some questions. I can see Kathy Hurley says, how does the governance work in these groups?
All right, now I need to put on my compliance hat. One is a stokvel itself is self-governed through a constitution. So one of the things that our platform does, it creates a standing constitution, because we know not everyone is well equipped with the law, right? So it creates a standing constitution that will govern the stokvel from that point. So it's self-regulated, it's self-governed. And in there, you would then say, who are the leaders, chairperson, treasurer, secretary, and ultimately, what are the rules of engagement? In general, our head of sales likes to call it house rules. What's the house rules? Every house has its own rules. So what is the house rules for this stokvel? When you're late, when you don't pay, when when you miss a payment, so how do we assist you? And we're moving away from how do we punish you as a stokvel? Because a lot of people think about when we are late, we're gonna punish you, but more like how do we assist you? And that's what we usually encourage stokvels to think about is when the member is late, yes, from a functionality perspective, we offer those in inverted commas punishment, but it's more about how do you assist. So I hope I've highlighted self-governance in there.
Yeah, good. There's a follow-up question. How do we persuade the groups that do this informally to do this more formally? And immediately I want to say, how do we define more formally? Does it mean using the app? Does it mean using all the functionality that your platform can provide so that everything is very clear and transparent? I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, that's a very good question, because I think as soon as we say formally, most people tend to think rigid structures within a standard, like a bank, as an example, or so I always say is that there's a lot of within our regulation, our legislation as the South African economy, which we need to re-look at how our people actually do behave versus how we want them to behave. So when I look at regulation and legislation, which is that formal that most people talk about, it's how people should behave. And when I look on the other side, is people don't behave like that. They're behaving differently. So we need to restructure. So yes, from a formal, if you want to talk about formal from a system perspective, I think, Laura, you've touched on it. But I don't think stokvels are informal. Yes, we're defining it right now because that's the language that people understand, but they're informal because they don't fit in a square because they're round, right? So we need to really think about the square again and maybe reshape it.
I like that very much, because personally, I like things that don't fit into specifically perfect shapes. Yes, Stefan.
Can I just add as well? I think joining the app does not make you formal. We love the fact that stokvels are informal, and we want to support that. Joining the app does give you more safety and security and convenience, all of those good stuff, without requiring you to go and register a company and apply with, comply with this law and comply with that law. I mean, if you comply with the basic constitution, it basically, just protects the members and their money, and you act ethically, that's as much formalization as you need. Obviously, if you want to go next level, you have to create corporations. Some of them do. Like the video we just watched, there was a company involved. But in order to start saving, no formality is really needed. And to get the Greenlight movement benefit of that savings thing ticking over, and all the benefits of self-actualization and having agency and having power to make decisions, all those things start the moment you start saving small. You don't have to save big to get there. So keep it simple, create a group, start saving, and then figure out, what's the next step after you reached a very modest goal.
And Stefan, I know that you and Chepo have talked about looking to bring potential investments to the table, so that, if you started using the app and they started creating their little stokvels, and there was lovely transparency and everybody knew what they were doing, potentially they did not know what was on offer that they could invest in. Some of what you and Chepo are planning to do is start looking for those kind of investments that are really beneficial to communities. You're starting to look to bringing that into the picture as well. Is that true?
Yes, absolutely. Sneak preview, but we are in the process of launching opportunities that are going to, we call it life-changing opportunities, life-changing solutions. And across 3 different tiers, without making things too complicated. The basic principle is, where Razia and the stokvel that we looked at is at the moment is shared ownership. So they're looking for investment opportunities. I apologize for the baby in the background, but this is the Zoom live. So they're at a next level. And what Stokfella wants to make available is easy investments like that, but also to assist people that are not at that level. If it's a consumption stokvel and they're just saving for groceries in December, that's great. Keep doing that. But push it through Stokfella, keep consuming what you always have, but we're going to create an extra margin for you because we're all clapping together and we're all banding together and we're creating more buying power. as an example. And then even as a step before that, you know, if a community is truly just broken because of, I don't know, let's choose crime. They just cannot put a business together because why would I, you know, why would I be an entrepreneur if someone's just going to come and steal it? So if the community says, let's club together, let's create a Stokvel and fix this crime issue, then we can all move forward. And so this fixes one of the most fundamental brokenness in the community. And Stokvels can do it. So by no means are we saying everyone needs to buy property. That's where they can get. But we're very excited about solving those problems that stop people from actually getting there.
Wow, that's very powerful. Melanie.
Hi there. Yes, I just wanted to find out, this is an amazing app, seems like it. So how could I get someone to come and speak to our beneficiaries? We've got quite a number of beneficiaries that are involved in Stokvel. And just to come and explain this to them and the benefits of it. I mean, this would really help a lot of our beneficiaries. How could I go about getting somebody to come and speak to us? I'm in Durban, by the way.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Sure, thank you. We get that question a lot. And we're working very hard to enable people like yourself to speak to the beneficiaries yourself. Look, we have 3,000 groups, over 3,000 groups, and that's just going to be growing exponentially as we partner with banks, et cetera, et cetera. And so, you know, practically speaking, we can't speak to every potential beneficiary group. That being said, you know, we can empower and enable the leaders of communities and you know, organizations like yourselves to have the right conversations and get the community there. And a sneak preview is the biggest thing is why. If a community knows why they're saving, you are 99% there. Mm-hmm. So if you can have a conversation with the community and say, why is it that I should find that 2 Rand or 100 Rand or whatever the amount is and sacrifice for it, then getting the app going and starting to make payments is easy. So, you know, and when we present Stokfella, obviously everyone needs to know that it's safe and secure and all that stuff. We have videos for that. We have documents for that. There's everything you need to know about Stokfella. But ultimately, the secret sauce sits inside the community. It's not in Stokfella. It's inside the why of the community. So the challenge is just to get that out of the people. The challenge and the opportunity.
So Stefan, I'm going to ask the white elephant in the room. Not the white elephant, the elephant in the room. So where's the catch? Okay, because you guys have to make your money too. And, you know, we all uncomfortable with banks because banks rip us off with their bank charges and their service fees and it just climbs, etc. So it sounds like a fantastic app. Everything is transparent. Everything is, the technology is working. But can you just give us a little bit about your model there around how you earn your money so that we can feel more comfortable about, you know, where the money's all going?
Absolutely. So we work on a freemium model. So what this means is we want the majority of South Africans and the majority of Stokvels to have access to this functionality for free. So any group below 15 members can use Stokfella for free. Once you get to the point of wanting to buy property, wanting to be a larger group, wanting to be a geographically dispersed group across South Africa, for example, with 1,000 members, then you need Stokfella Premium. Then the basic service and the basic functionality is not going to be sufficient. So we only charge groups when they're actually at the next level. But we make it free for all the groups that are, like I said, trying to just make fix their brokenness or trying to just you know, consume the way they always have with something extra coming out. You know, that could be done absolutely for free. Now the question is, so, but how does the business model work then? Well, so the business model ultimately works that, like we said, we want to be bringing these solutions to Stokvels. And so what's been running for a while offline that you're not seeing on the app is a marketplace. So there are a lot of service providers out there that want to sell to this market. And basically we charge them to come and sell to this market. And so ultimately our business model is based on that. You know, if we can get people to bring their savings onto the platform, They have buying power here. They're going to have great deals here. But anyone that wants access to that distribution model has to pay to play. And so ultimately, that's why we're partnering with banks. That's why we're partnering with FMCGs. We're partnering with big corporates, because everyone wants to participate in this 50 billion rand a year partnership, or the market. We're just saying we're going to be the big brother, and we're going to protect them, and we're not going to give them rip-off. We're not going to put rip-off deals on our platform. We're going to be very, very stringent on those solutions actually being great deals, actually being life-changing solutions. Otherwise, they won't find it on our app. So Laura, does that answer the business model question?
It does for me, thank you. And what I'm also hoping is that you will focus on those kind of investments that come in that really have a chance, as you said, of being big game changers, like solar in communities. People who want to bring solar into communities, or anything that really has the fundamental opportunity to lift, to raise the quality of life in communities. So does anybody else have a question or a comment they'd like to make? Kathy Hurley. Hi, Kathy.
Hello, Laura. Hello, lovely. Thank you for inviting me. So my question to Stefan then is, if I, for example, am looking for an investor, and Laura mentioned her solar passion, if we were looking to say, do some circular economy work in our rural communities, and I'm based in KZN, would we be able to come to you as an investor? Are you able to do that yet in terms of aggregating the capital that you have with your Stokfellas into investments that could be sold to those Stokfella owners? Thank you.
Yes, so if I can clarify your question is, can you be the seller that comes to sell towards these buyers? Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes, that is possible. It's not on app yet, but we are making our database available and starting to give the Stokfellas that are on our database, sellers access to those buyers already. It is still in development stage. We're not fully set up to onboard solutions like that, I would say, en masse, but we are certainly able to have a good discussion. So Kathy, happy to have a good discussion like that.
So in other words, you grow with us, we'll grow with you.
Absolutely.
And then also you can learn through the Greenlight movement what it is that people want, what it is that people are needing or asking for. I think that's kind of information that would be very useful to all the organizations in the Greenlight movement as well. I would actually love to even have maybe on your app a little indicator that they could check the tick box when they actually sign in and they create a Stokfella on your app, that we know whether this is a Greenlight movement Stokfella. In other words, it's a group that's been created out of a program that already is part of the Greenlight movement, because then we can start watching that data and aggregating that data and seeing if what's coming through the programs is having an impact on how people are, and what they're choosing to invest in. That would be very interesting.
Absolutely. I mean, ultimately, we want to be giving people the voice. It's not about the formal economy deciding what the so-called informal economy wants. It's about giving people the voice to say, well, actually, we want this solution. We don't need all these insurances you're trying to throw at us. Give me what we're actually looking for. So what you mentioned about kind of, aggregating in the data, informing what's actually ending up on the platform, absolutely the case, yes.
Super. All right. I think we've come to the end of our session. If nobody else has any questions or comments, maybe if you could just tell us in the chat box, if you found that this was a useful subject for you. We will make the presentation and the video available, and we'll also share with you Stefan and Shepo's details. Kate, you got a quick raised hand here?
Yes, so I've already now been downloading the app and loading all my details and seeing the groups and seeing that I can join a group. If I want to learn more now, like how do I find out about these groups? How would I know which is a good group to join? And where would I get that information from?
Yes. So, the basic premise of our business is not really the individual hopping on trying to find a group to belong to, but the group coming and saying, let's hop on together. So there is basic functionality to find some groups. I mean, if you have a name, you can search for it and you'll find it. But ultimately, we don't really want to encourage more consolidation towards, groups that people don't actually know the people. We want to tap into the communities that already exist. So that's a bit of an individualistic question, unfortunately, but so we want the groups to come, but it's a good question. We get it a lot.
The question I'm asking is, do you have YouTube videos to learn more? How would we go about continuing this process? Like if I wanted to even now start a group with my friends, how would I learn more? How would I be able to teach myself more? Or would we contact you? Or do you have YouTube how-to videos? How would we learn?
Absolutely. So when you create a group, then you start getting on our radar and we start contacting you. So we'll invite you to a welcome group on WhatsApp that will share everything you need to know. That will also invite you to further interest groups. So as an example, if you're very interested in property investments, there's a WhatsApp group for that, and they just talk about that. If you're very interested in groceries, for example, there's a WhatsApp group just for that. So just create the group, you'll get into the ecosystem and you'll start receiving all the information that you need.
Cool.
Yeah, I think to add on that, Stefan, towards Kate, is that I'm going to share a link of one of the things that you'll find more information of why trust us, what people have done in the past. I'm looking for the link right now, and I'm going to share it in the group as soon as I get it. Stefan, if you have it, you let me know. But okay, I have it. I'm going to post it right now in the group chat, and then you can learn more about us as well from there. I hope you can see the link.
Not yet. Just waiting for it to come through. Still don't have it yet. Well, we'll wait for it to come through. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. It's wonderful to see you all again. And have a safe week ahead of you. And here it comes. Here it comes. And be safe, be warm, and let's think about those savings.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.
Guys.
Yes,
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.